Despite what your fourth grade teacher would have you believe, human sex isn't actually determined by chromosomes. A single gene on the Y starts a cascade of events involving genes all over the genome to determine sex. And if any of those things changes, then you're in for a surprise. With this diagram, you have to pay attention to four regions of tissue. Pregonadal tissue, area which says gonad on the diagram. If you run that, the default will make an ovary. Then there's the pregenital tissue, which if you run the default will make the labia and the vulva. Then there's the Mullerian duct, which will become the fallopian tube by default, and the end swells up and becomes the uterus and joins to the vagina. And finally, the pre-vas deferens dies if it's trying to make a female because there's no need for a sperm duct. But if there's a Y chromosome, then it'll stay alive and make the vas deferens. So those are the four regions of tissue to pay attention to as time goes on. Alright. So in the male, at the 8th week of pregnancy, on the Y chromosome, there's a trigger called the TDF, testes determining factor gene. So at the 8th week of pregnancy, the TDF gene fires and makes testes determining factor, which diffuses over the gonadal tissue and causes what would have been an ovary to become testes. Now the testes cranks out a hormone called the Mullerian inhibiting hormone, and that hormone diffuses over and binds to the Mullerian duct and tells the cells to commit suicide, apoptosis, so that they don't persist in making a fallopian tube. Meanwhile, the testes also produces testosterone, and some of it binds to the pre-vas deferens and tells it to make a sperm duct. All the while, some of the testosterone gets converted by an enzyme into 5-dihydrotestosterone. At this point, this stuff binds to the androgen receptor that is present on the pregenital tissue. And when it binds to the receptor, it sends signals to the cells which says don't make a vulva, but make a scrotum and a penis. There was an individual, her name was Maria Jose Martinez Patino. She was a former Spanish hurdler. She was dismissed from the Spanish Olympic team in 1986 for failing the gender test. Marina Patino had a mutation in the gene which made the protein. So Marina is XY. She's supposed to be a boy. First 5 weeks of embryological development, you can't tell. And at the 8th week, the TDF gene fired like it was supposed to and bound to the gonadal tissue. It said, don't make ovaries, make testes, which is why she had testes in her body. It made the Mullerian inhibiting hormone like it was supposed to, which bound the Mullerian duct and successfully made it so that she had no fallopian tube. Her testes properly produced testosterone, which bound to the vas deferens tissue, which is why she had sperm ducts. She made 5-dihydrotestosterone like she was supposed to, but then the receptor didn't bind it. So all the pregenital tissue instead ran all of the defaults and made all of the external female genitalia. So you see, sex determination isn't as simple as you once thought. And instances like this fly in the face of people who are against homosexuality, who think that it isn't natural. If mutations can make what should have been a man into the body of a woman, women who don't know that they're XY but still like men all the while, then it's not difficult to see that the mind of a man should be able to develop like the mind of a woman, and vice versa. And that's it for that one. All right, later.